Luka has taken on the league by storm ever since he first stepped foot onto the court. But how good has he been this season? Well, in his first 9 regular season games, Luka had 9 30-point games. That's an accomplishment that even the greatest of players and scorers throughout history cannot say that they've achieved. Before the start of the 2022-23 season, Luka was already regarded as a top candidate to walk away with the MVP award. The only potential hiccup, as always, would be team success and whether or not the Mavs can be an actual 50-win team. After starting the year with a 6-3 record, do you think Luka can lead the Mavs to be a top seed in the Western Conference? If he could, what are the chances of him winning the MVP award this year? Well, let's find out. Luka is off to a fantastic start this season, but of course that's nothing new. After his first 9 games, he's been averaging, are you ready for this? 36 points, 8.4 rebounds, and 8.3 assists per game. While most people see these numbers as unsustainable, the worst thing we can expect is a modest decline, since we've witnessed him already averaging 39 and 9 before. Even with these crazy numbers, his MVP case will be tested by the very players that have prevented him from winning it in the past. The league is filled with individual talent, and that's the best argument against him. But with new additions to his game, Luka's campaign is coming together in ways that may suggest a new accomplishment is ahead of him. So far this season, opposing defenses are, let's say, asking for Luka to heat up. As the most reliable offensive player in the Mavs squad, teams around the league have let Luka get to his spots in hopes of wearing him down in later stretches. But after 9 games, it's unleashed a new version of the superstar by getting his game to a whole new level of productivity. Their plan basically boils down to daring Luka to get his shots up and try to win on his own. They've been sticking closer to the shooters and switching more than before, less help, which allows Luka to score at a tremendous rate. While Dallas has had fewer catch-and-shoot 3-point attempts than they did last season, Luka has been the leader in points per game, as well top of the league in usage rate. Matter of fact, Luka is on pace to have the second highest usage rate of all time, behind only Russell Westbrook's 2016-17 MVP season. So far, Luka has not allowed these tactics to limit his contributions to getting just buckets. Luka became the first player in NBA history to have 200 points, 50 rebounds, and 50 assists through the first 6 games of a season. But still, the Mavs went just 3-3 in those games. Another improvement Doncic has made this season is his trips to the free throw line. So far this season, Luka is attempting a career-high 11.3 foul shots per 36. That's a massive improvement from last season, and the first time he's had double-digit attempts. This is important because once already dominant players getting to the foul line more often, gobbling up free points, they become virtually unstoppable. And also this trend goes back. If you go further back, Jokic has posted personal bests in his last 2 campaigns. The runner-up, Joel Embiid, has also averaged 12.4 and 12.6 free throws per game in the last 2 seasons. Giannis made his leap in the 2018-19 season when he won his first MVP. James Harden before him has always been a foul baiter, so he's kind of an outlier. But if you look at Russell Westbrook in 2016-17, he averaged 10.8 attempts as well. These are just a few comparisons that are compelling data that suggest that Luka is improving his game in ways that bring it to a level of past winners. While also averaging a career high in attempts, Luka is also knocking them down at an all-time high for him at 86.1%, not repeating his unfortunate struggles at the line from previous seasons. In a race that will most likely be close, free points would be a huge bump to his scoring average and overall efficiency that would be his best arguments for winning the award. In the past few seasons, it's been Luka's ability to get shots from anywhere he wants to perhaps holding him a little back from achieving this level of scoring. He's ranked among the leaders in long mid-range jump shots taken, but this year he sits at the 23rd percentile in that category. Luka's turned the long floaters into layups, and the long mid-ranges to 3-pointers, and even though he's been struggling so far from deep, averaging around 29%, he still shoots more than 8 threes a game. Even with these struggles, by having his free throw line attempts up and reducing his long mid-rangers, Luka is blowing away his previous career highs in points per shot attempt and true shooting percentage. Doncic, for the first time in his career, is averaging above 50% in his field goal attempts, and if we ended the season today, Luka would join James Harden as the only players to post a usage rate above 40% and true shooting of 60% or better. In addition to that, Luka's also on pace to lead the league and achieve a new career high, 51.5% assist percentage. To make that more impressive, he's cut on his turnover rate to a career-low 8.9%. And all of this has been happening while his opponents have been daring him to score alone and not have his teammates involved as much. This assist rate could go up even more. Luka's been averaging some outlier numbers so far, which we will have to wait and see if they even out. It would be no surprise if Luka manages to average something close to these numbers he's having right now, and he's been known to be a wonder boy, coming up with stuff that gets everybody in disbelief. With him, you never know if it's just a streak or he's setting up the new norm. Even though defense for sure wins championships, it's not been successfully proven about MVPs. But nevertheless, it's definitely a helping hand in the argument. This year, for the first time in his career, Dallas has been better defensively with Doncic on the court than off it. Just barely, by a difference of 0.5 points. But still, the point stands. Add to that his highest steal and defensive rebound rates of his career, and the lowest foul rate. Luka's passable defense this season might actually help him get over the top. His defensive activities might help bring the on-off numbers to help his case. Last season, despite averaging almost 29, 9, and 9, the Mavs were as good with him on the floor as they were without him. Even though those stats don't tell the whole story, Luka was dragged down by bad starting lineups early in the season, and the second unit was boosted by the performance of the Jalen Brunson and Spencer Dinwiddie duo. This season, with better managing of the roster, he'll probably end up the leader in the team's net rating as well. What could also help Luka's case is actually losing Jalen Brunson. From a narrative perspective, because last season, the Mavs were seen as a complete overachiever, and his importance was seen as a huge part of their success. This year, if the Mavs manage to achieve 50 wins again, which they're on their way to, Luka's importance, which might have been understated last season, would likely get boosted. To help his case, Christian Wood is playing good basketball and is coming off the bench, so the argument of not having a second star would be ensured as well. This is really important, because every year, narratives play just as big of a role as do stats and wins. Him being one of the most likable players in the league, having great stats, achieving 50 wins, and have a great narrative story could actually get him over the edge to not just be a top candidate, but a winner of the NBA regular season MVP award. More important than all of these arguments is his on-court growth, and how that will relate to his long-term potential and longevity. Doncic is known to play at his own pace, often decelerating in fast breaks, being patient at all times, as often he'll use every second on the shot clock that he can so he can get the best possible look and opportunity for him or his teammates. Somehow he's improved even in what he was already an all-time great at. It's come to a point where the game looks to be in slow motion to him, from the way he's reading all the angles, lanes, and determining the next phase of the play. He's a perfect example of a player with a great understanding of the game, achieving his full potential despite not being athletically gifted. He does seem to have slimmed down, which helps him with his endurance and allowing him to be a little faster than usual, but it's at the half court where he'll most likely utilize his skill in slowing settings. He routinely maneuvers around defenders, overcoming help from the weak side with ease, and using his big body and wide frame to absorb contact while planning his next move. Luka seems to be at a point where his combination of experience, skill set, and confidence allow him to have a perception that is so slowed down to his eyes, affording him more time to scan the floor and decide on which is the right play to make at certain points of the game. Simply amazing for somebody that's just 23 years old. So, will Luka win the MVP award? It's a tough question to answer, especially this early in the season, as we can't predict unfortunate situations like injuries or something else that would affect the team's success. However, if we disregard that, we could actually say that Luka has plenty of arguments to walk away with the award at the end of the 2022-23 regular season.